afternoon, everybody. It's good to have you out here. It's a beautiful day. As TK said, my name is Zena Crenshaw, and I'm Executive Director of a group called P.O.P.U.L.A.R, and that stands for Power Over Poverty Under Laws of America Restored. Now, when we talk about, when we talk about power over poverty, we're not just talking about the lack of money. We're talking about power over anything and everything that would deprive us of the life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that we're reasonably guaranteed under the U.S. Constitution. So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about power over poverty. We want to have power over whatever would take away from us the abundant life, power over poverty. And notice, it's under the laws of America restored. So what does that mean? We're not talking about making new law. We're talking about the laws of America restored. And that means having those laws applied, having them enforced. Our claim is we don't need any new laws to get the justice that we all seek. We need the laws of America restored, enforced. Okay, now I am more going to give you an infomercial, and I'm going to introduce in a few minutes our advisory board president, Catherine Moore. She's going to give you the inspirational message. I'm just going to give you a bit of information. Now, P.O.P.U.L.A.R is an association of lawyers and law students, and all of these lawyers and have at one time or another tried to expose problems with the legal system, have tried to expose judicial misconduct, and every last one of us has experienced some type of professional discipline. And we're also advised by a dynamic group of community leaders, that our advisory board, and you're going to get to meet the president of that advisory board in a minute. She's not a lawyer, but she's a former mayor of North Carolina. You're just going to see how dynamic she is and how lucky we are as lawyers to have her advice and guidance. But when Dr. Blake Moore was speaking, you know, we talk about the lawyers. I love that, the public pretenders, and we talk about how a lot of times the people in the medical profession seem like that they're the problem, they're the enemy. But when you're lawyers, when you have lawyers and doctors willing to stand up and fight and protect your rights, you know, don't let us stay in jail for 4 months like Dr. Fine, and we have a petition to get Dr. Fine released, and it's all we can do to get 100 signatures. We're talking about millions of children being victimized in child protective services every year, and they got 2 parents, so that means millions of parents. And you know, how can we, when it's time to get our numbers together, barely get 100 petition signatures? Okay, you have to be willing to stand up for the professionals that a lot of times are your problem, so that we can fight for you. If they remove us from the legal profession, if they remove us from the medical profession, they eliminate our ability to use our profession, our skills to help you. So, you know, you got to just not focus on your particular circumstances. The people here, if you're here today, you're not just focusing on your circumstances. You're concerned about a bigger problem. But you got to, in the course of it, protect the people who are standing up to protect you, okay? And along that lines, I have a petition on the table. We have, with P.O.P.U.L.A.R, we have what's called a wall of poverty. It's a fictitious wall. It's an image that represents the wall of poverty. And we're trying to collect over 500,000 legitimate email addresses. And if we can get over 500,000 emails, we're going to bring that wall of poverty down. And really what that's all about, it's just a simple way of showing our numbers. Dr. Shirley Moore talked about she didn't know, you know, what we could do to solve the problem. And really what we have to do, this is a numbers game. We've got to be able to show the people that we represent, the people who care about what we care about. And not everybody is going to come up here on the Capitol grounds in front of the Capitol and take a microphone and talk about reform. You can't expect everybody to do that. Not everybody's going to be able to make it to Washington, D.C. Not everybody's going to have an email address. Not everybody's going to write a letter to Congress. What we have to do is we have to be creative. we need to come here to people who want to come out and people who want to give up email addresses and sign petitions. We certainly need to do those sort of things, but we've got to be creative. A lot of times people don't want to be identified. It could be so helpful if you go to any nonprofit organization that you support and just give them a roll of stamps. I mean, powerful advocacy can be accomplished if you just contribute a roll of stamps. It costs a lot to mail these members of Congress. Sometimes we send out a letter to every representative and every senator. That's several hundred people. Give one stamp. What you have to do is be willing to do something. And what we also have to do is stop thinking, what little act like that, how is that going to help me? How is that going to help me in my immediate problem? How can one stamp make a difference? Well, what happens is you give that organization more power. And everybody has heard about this that woman singing sensation that was on Britain's Got Talent. Everybody, I can't remember her name. I can't remember. Was it Susan Bowen? She on her YouTube video, 100 million people watched her YouTube video. Do you know if everyone who watched that video gave her a penny, you know how much money she would have? $1 million. What we do is we say, well, what good is a penny gonna do? What good is one email address gonna do? And what we're doing is we're missing our real strength. There's more of us than it is of them. Okay, so that's what we need to do. We need to focus on, do something, find an organization and make sure, commit every day if you can, certainly every week, do something. Sign one petition, send one email, whatever you feel comfortable with, but find some way of doing something. Now, another thing is when you reach out to your representatives, whether in Congress or locally, not only tell them about a problem, think about a solution. If you don't have a solution, join up with a group that has a solution. And this is what I want to talk with you about, this yellow piece of paper here. We're going to be starting across the country community forums on judicial accountability. And what we're going to be doing is meeting with people all across the country. And we're going to be talking with them about what we can do to get citizen oversight over the conduct of these judges. Because a report came out in May. In fact, we met here on Capitol Hill last year, May of last year, and the group that met issued a report in May of this year, and one of their conclusions is that we have a right as American citizens to be part of judicial oversight and making sure that our courts function properly. Okay, and we don't have to prove that the judges are corrupt in order to have that right. This is a country of, for, and by the people. And so judicial oversight is in our right. We need to stop trying to spend all our time proving that there's judicial corruption. We don't care if there's judicial corruption. It's our courts. And so if they're not functioning properly, then we have a right to have something to do with making sure they function properly. So we're going to be meeting all across the country, and we're going to be talking about some ways that private citizens can be a part of making sure that the judges do what they're supposed to do, that they restore the law of America. So that's part of P.O.P.U.L.A.R, Power Over Poverty Under Laws of America Restored. So if you all could, if you can get this yellow handout before you leave, and it gives you contact information. If you want to host one of these community forums, we'll train you on how to do it. There's no cost to host it. There's no cost to attend it, but we will have you there. We will tell you solutions. We're not going to just talk about this judge is corrupted. We're going to be talking about how do we as private citizens monitor the courts and be a part of making sure that when there is misconduct, that there's appropriate discipline and necessary civil action or criminal action. So get that, and also please, if you can sign that petition, because we need to show our numbers. How can we keep telling, and Dr. Shirley Moore says this all the time, how can we keep telling the powers that be that we're involved with these problems that affect millions and everyone is so concerned, but we can barely get 5 people, okay, to support what we're doing. It's a numbers game. Every day, try to get your signal out there, try to give some type of show of measurable support.